Hello, good afternoon and welcome to today's vlog for Wednesday the 11th of February. I hope you're well and having a good day. Before I talk about me, I'm going to point in the direction of Pete the Trucker. If you're on the CX and you factor some or all of your invoicing, then you need to watch his video that he's put out this afternoon. I'm not going to explain about it, I'm not going to talk about it, it's his video, but please, if those factors involve you, please give it a watch. Right, on to me. Firstly, apologies for yesterday afternoon, no video. On Monday, I left you Monday afternoon, I was on my way back from Bury St Edmunds, having just done the one job. And on the way back, I did win a job for Tuesday morning, first thing. It was a large van job going from Braintree, 27 miles to Harlow for 8 o'clock in the morning. I was expecting it to be quiet again. This came out quite early in the afternoon, and I thought I need to get something under my belt and get on the road. So I just quoted £50. Normally it'd be 60, but I quoted 50. Shipper I've worked for before, and I did get that job. So that felt great. That's my start for Tuesday. Shortly after that, I got a phone call from my diabetic nurse after my blood problems the previous week. She wanted to see me to have a chat. She's very, very good, and as much as it's a pain in the backside to interrupt my working day, and she does know I'm self-employed and normally like an early appointment, she apologised and said the earliest she could see me was 12:30, so could I make that? Things are more important sometimes than work, so yes, that was agreed for yesterday. So yesterday morning I did my job from Braintree to Harlow, on site just before 8 o'clock and away. Took 1 hour to get to Harlow, as per normal. Got that off. Typically, because I couldn't go anywhere, I was looking for a job to stay within Essex. I had time to do another sort of 1 hour job in Essex before I had to start thinking about making my way home. Typically there was nothing there, but there was some actually quite nice jobs, 1 or 2 down to the south coast, the Midlands, stuff that normally would be great for a second job of the day, but I couldn't do those, and just I hate watching the clock. It does my brain in. So I made the decision at about 9:45 I'm just going to call it a day and go back home for my appointments, and that's what I did. By the time I'd done that and had some blood tests done, I went and had some lunch, and it was 1:30 and the day was done. And to be honest, I went home and did some bits and completely forgot about doing the video. So started looking for work for today, Wednesday, and again I got a job came up quite early in the afternoon. I was having my lunch over the cafe, and it was interesting. It was and I've got to say this, I think if I had to make a change to CX, I think we should enforce that they must put details of the load on the job offer. So for example, if it's if it's a large van job and it's 3 pallets, they should say 3 pallets, and also what the goods are. It doesn't have to be exact details, but it could be motor parts, electrical parts, building supplies, just to give us an idea. And there wasn't a problem on the job I've done, absolutely, but it raises a few red flags, and it could have been. What I mean by that was this job was from Clacton-on-Sea this morning at 8 o'clock. That's 20 minutes from where I live, so that's quite good. Even though I dropped the wife off, I can make my way back there, it's no problem. And it was going into central London, to Southwest 1, Belgravia. Now that is outside the congestion zone. So I went high on the price. I don't really quite know why, because I realised you don't have to go in the congestion zone. Normally my price would be 125. What it did say in the notes was, please allow 1 hour for offloading. Didn't specify why, but I just assumed maybe it's going to be some sort of building site and they might be busy and you might have a wait. And to be fair, I don't mind that, because then we don't have any issues regarding waiting time. You can build that into your planning, build that into your price, and that's what I did. I put a price of £150 on it. It's 80 miles from door to door, so in actual fact I think that's a good price. No congestion zone either. So I put that price on, and I got a phone call quite quickly. It's a ship I've done a couple of jobs for in the past. So that was great, that was booked in. So this morning I arrived on site at 7:30. I couldn't remember the pickup, but I did when I got there. It's one of those things when you get there, you think, yeah, I've been here before, I know where this is. And it's an old farm, and the guy who lives there now has his own business in one of the barns. It's like an engineering thing. Nobody there at the barn when I got there at 7:30 this morning, but he could see me from his house. So he came about 10 minutes later. He arrived, and he remembered me, and I remembered him. What it was a 2.5 metre long pallet A-frame, and the goods that I was taking was something he'd made, which had quite a lot of glass in it. Let's leave it at that. That's not a problem, glass, but I think you should know when you're bidding if something like that is potentially more fragile than perhaps a box of alternators or something. He'd packed it brilliantly. It was very sturdy on the A-frame. He had plywood boards either side of it. He'd even put his own blanket across it, and even put some of his own straps as well. It was very, very solid, very, very safe. But it was just a bit awkward getting it onto the van. He'd already put the fork extenders under the pallet, but because it was 2.5 metres, it was very, very heavy. He just had a problem trying to get the forklift underneath it, but we managed it. We got it in and we got it on board. It wasn't a problem. I strapped it all down. There was a couple of other bits that went with it at the front of the van. Again, no problem now. I was off site at 5 to 8. 3 hours to Belgravia Isle in central London. SatNav was saying 2 hours 35 minutes, and it actually took 2 hours 55 minutes. Now, I did go through the congestion zone to get to Belgravia. Coming from the east, I've come down the A13, which I think is always the best way to approach. I can go left over Tower Bridge and go down to Elephant Castle, come back up through Kennington, over Vauxhall Bridge. That was going to add 25 minutes onto the journey. I could go north around the ring road up past Old Street, Euston, Marylebone, come down that way, down Park Lane, but that was adding 35 minutes to the job. And because I'd already knew that I might have to allow an hour to unload, I decided, sod it, I've got decent money for this. The money I've quoted would include congestion charge, so I went straight through the middle. And it's probably the best thing I did at central London, as per normal on a Wednesday. It's very, very busy. Tractors were having a demo around Whitehall and around there, so best thing to do. Got on site, as I say, just on 11 o'clock. Now, the reason for the hour to offload was it was a residential building on the second floor, scaffolding all around it, but the goods I had on were going to have to be taken up by hoist. So, very straightforward on arrival. Had a phone number, rang the guy. He was the on-site manager. He came down with 4 guys, and after they had a good look at it and whatever, and make sure that how they were going to do this. I left it to them. I didn't get involved, but basically they took the item off the A-frame, put it onto some wood, and then attached all the necessary ropes and chains, hoisted it up. I obviously said to them that I need to get rid of the A-frame. I didn't want to keep that on the van. That's going to cause me problems for the rest of the day, and they were absolutely fine with that. They took that off, and then they hoisted that up, and then they got the other little bits and pieces, which they took in by hand. The whole process took 50 minutes. They coned off an inside lane for me, which they had permission to do. Didn't cause any traffic problems, but that was fine. Again, because I knew it was going to take an hour, I had no problem with that at all. I wasn't hurrying anybody, and the goods were sturdy but very fragile, and there couldn't be any accidents, and everybody had to take their time, and absolutely fine with that. So I was all done off site at 11:50. Went and just parked up around the corner out the way just to complete the CX and have a look, see if there's any work about. There was a job from Southwest 7 going to Colchester CO2, absolutely perfect, 70 miles, small van job. I put a price of £70 on it. I didn't want to go too cheap, but I didn't want to go expensive. It was a pickup between 11:30 and 12:30, so it was 10 minutes away, I'm going to be within time. Nothing happened on that. It actually just got cancelled at 12:30. So I decided that I'm going to leave the area. There didn't seem to be a lot else, and I knew it was going to take about an hour just to get out towards Canary Wharf, which is about 6 miles. Again, just pure London traffic. That's what it did. I got to Canary Wharf around about 1:30. Still nothing coming up on the feed anywhere. Couple of jobs in Tilbury, but when I looked at the time, it was for some reason saying an hour, and that soon should be 30 minutes, and that soon became apparent because we came to a complete stop on the A13. There'd been an accident. There was very little traffic coming the other way. I'm guessing there was probably an accident on one of the flyovers down at Barking, where it's one lane in each direction. It's a bit of a hot spot for accidents. I lost an hour, just short of an hour, sitting in that, and then I was able to wiggle my way off and get onto the A406 to make my way up towards the M11. There's literally been nothing on the feed at all, absolutely nothing. Very, very quiet. But we know it's time of year, but it seems extremely quiet. I spoke to a couple of my friends who are still black cab drivers in London, and that was always a good barometer of how life is. Newspaper guys were always, financial guys were always speaking to cab drivers to get an understanding of really where the country's at, because if the cab trade is quiet, then everywhere is going to go quiet, and the cab trade is very quiet at the moment in London. And the general consensus from people who work in the markets in the city of London, I'm told, is we're not in a good place. A lot of businesses are severely struggling this side of the new year. Now they've paid all their taxes and all the increase in business rates, minimum wage, everything is kicking in. Anyway, we're just going to have to see what happens. I think just got to ride it. That's all we can do in these times. Yes, I know it is still February and we expect it to be quiet, but I think it seems a lot quieter than it should be. Going on to that, this weekend, I'm away this weekend. It's Valentine's weekend. I've still got a bit of romance left in me. So the plan was to have Friday and Monday off anyway as we're away. I think, to be honest, I'm going to have tomorrow off as well. It is all for all of us. It's a little bit disillusioning. Is that a right word? I think it is. When it's very, very quiet and it just seems to be one job and that's it. And as you know, I'm not chasing. I'm not desperate. I do this because I want to keep busy. I do this because I enjoy the job, but I don't enjoy the job if it's a real struggle. There's other things I can do. There's TV programs galore I've never watched. There's some odd jobs I can do in the house. I can just have a rest. I've worked damn bloody hard all my life, and I'm at a stage now in my life where if I want to take it easy, I can. And this is again why I have no interest in building up my own business and having my own customers. I want to have a good work-life balance and control my own destiny. So I'm going to have tomorrow off. I'm away Friday, Monday. I possibly will just have a look at it next week. I might have some time off next week as well. I think if I'm going to have a little break, it's half term next week for most of the country. That makes things a little bit quiet as well, makes the roads quieter. We like that, but it also makes sometimes work can be quieter as well. So I might have some time off next week. So when I'm back, I will restart all these videos again, don't worry. Yeah, but I think it's just time to have a little reset and a little bit of a chill and just wait for it all to sort of start to pick up again. Anyway, I hope you're all busy. Yeah, I hope everything's good for you. I hope you're ticking along and making money, and we'll talk again soon. But in the meantime, all the best. Cheers, Paul.